Hey, it's your boy Chrys, Players Pick Podcast, here to shout out my sponsor, Road Roaster Coffee. Road Roaster Coffee makes an amazing array of light, medium, and dark roasts. My favorite is this kick-ass right here. You can check out roadroastercoffee.com and use Players Pick as your coupon code for 20% off your very first order. Enjoy the pod.
Players Pick Podcast, picks and perspective with Chris Johnson. Palpable paradox.
Yep. Yeah, sounds perfect.
Okay, cool. Hey, well,
PG.
Jason, it's good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too, man. Thanks for having me on.
Oh man, it's an honor, dude. It's been a while. I haven't seen you in person. Probably, I think last time I saw you was maybe Polyphia in LA a couple of years ago before the pandemic or something.
Possibly. It has been a minute. That sounds familiar. Yeah.
I think it was at the one of the venues downtown. Forget which one it was, but it's got the cool decorations in there.
The Mayan.
Mayan, that's it.
Yeah. That place is so sick looking.
Yeah, super cool vibe there. I've seen a handful of good shows there too. So
yep.
Yeah,
definitely.
Dude, well, congratulations on the release of the new album.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's weird finally having it done and out. Like I've just been vegging essentially since. Like we had that show, we had a CD release show at the Whiskey A Go Go, and then that was like a little bit of like a week after the album dropped, and then like right after that I just turned my brain off, and I've just been like playing video games. I haven't had time to like do anything else besides work on stuff for the album and that show since I got off tour in May. It's just been it's a lot of stuff doing it completely on your own.
And that was tour with All That Remains, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, yeah. I can only imagine. I've gone through this new album too. I guess is that what you're going to call? This is 1 and 2. And Jesus Christ, like it's an onslaught as I expected, but it's
in
just
a good
like
way though, right?
Yeah, in a good way it is, and it's like I have to listen to. I probably got through it probably 10 times now, and one of the times was on a run, one of the times at the gym and stuff. It fits that vibe also, like, because when you have such long form thought processes that go into these things, it takes more time to digest and be like, oh, okay, there's that part, but it's a little different this time. It came back and you're like, oh, okay, he evolved this theme. And I feel like it's important to kind of notify those things as a musician, and as I mean, you don't have to, but like this is music for musicians mostly, right?
Yeah,
mostly.
Yeah, definitely. I like to think that I always try and keep like pop structure in the back of my head when I'm writing. That's why, like, as you were just saying, there are repeating parts, but they kind of evolve when they come back. It's like just like little subtle changes, like ear candy and stuff like that, to keep things just more interesting, and not just be the same thing over and over and over again, even though it is at the same time.
And am I right? I mean, I'm not smart enough to like know this for sure, but in Sparrow, doesn't Sparrow rehash a part of or the theme of the riff and the song before it a little bit, the heavy riff?
Not intentionally, but I can see the similarities for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just dissonant and heavy.
Yeah, it was just like it's similar vibe, and it's like it came in. I'm like, oh, is this the same? Oh no, this is a different song, and so I didn't go back and try to match them up and figure it out, but I was like, oh, this may be just a carry on of the theme. It's a similar vibe.
Yeah, everything connects pretty well. I always try to keep that in mind as well, like how everything flows, like from start to finish in the album. Like singles are cool and all, obviously, but there is something special about getting like on almost an hour of music to just like listen to start to finish.
Amen. I'm a fan of the album, you know, and singles can be okay. And it's great when a band or an artist can write something that stands on its own. I mean, each song should to some degree, right?
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah.
But almost more importantly, does it fit in the context with your other music, and that is there some sort of flow happening?
Yep. I love film scores and movies and stuff like that, so that's why, or at least everything I try to make it like essentially sound like it's just from like all meant to be together, like all the interludes and stuff like that. Like I've seen some people comment they can't tell. Well, at first listen, at least like when one song starts and one ends, which was kind of the goal too. Obviously, once you listen to it more, you can identify like each one has its own standalone like sections and like sounds to it. But I definitely also like that some people couldn't tell when things started or finished, because it all just flows like perfectly together, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the title, or the start off track, Tendinitis, is kind of like the theme, the overall theme for me when I think about you shredding all of this stuff. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like I know you spent a lot of time working on your process, you know, and economizing your motion and figuring this out. But it's like you're one of the guys out there on the forefront of guitar playing that has taken, and I'll just, you know, just like on the sleeve, it's like a lot of on one element, like you've mastered one of the things that Petrucci does so well, you know, and then you've done your own things with it. It's like this really fast. Yeah. Oh no, it's like a cool influence that's on your sleeve at the same time, you know, like you're not thinking about Petrucci necessarily at that point, but I can hear it because I'm an old school fan, you know.
If you know what to listen for, it's kind of obvious.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sometimes I try not to be like too blatant with it, but I'm a huge Dream Theater fan, obviously. Yeah, I mean I've Train of Thought tattooed on this shoulder.
Oh
so
shit!
I can't escape it ever, which is fine because I love that shit. And John's the man.
Yeah, yeah, he's the dude. And you guys are on the same team too. It's cool to see, you know, with guitars and all this, like to see you get your signature over there, and you got and to see.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
Is it? What's weird about what's weird having it, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things, you know, growing up, like I saved up over a year to get my first music band, just because I like John Petrucci. It just happened to be an ignorantly sick guitar. Like I wasn't thinking like, oh, I love, at the time, at least, you know, 12, 13 years old, I wasn't thinking, oh, I love Music Man, I have to have a Music Man guitar. I was like, I got to have my favorite guitar player's guitar. And it just ended up being a really, really good guitar. So
they really are. It's like, I remember the first time I picked up an old school JP6, and I was like, holy shit, like they really dialed this motherfucker in. Like, this is no joke. Like, it almost felt like, I mean, in a lot of ways, I'm like, this is like almost too much guitar for me. I don't need this. Like, you know, like somebody else Jason Richardson needs this shit, not me.
Dude, my dad would, well, he obviously knew I wanted one. Like I think what started getting that guitar first was I had a birthday party one year. I knew I wanted to get, so I just asked everyone for money. I was just like, just give me like 20 bucks, like, and just anything. So I got like a stockpile kind of up front, and for like a 12 or 13-year-old, like $300 is like a ton of money.
Hell yeah.
That's a ton of money. So, excuse me. I was just like, I wanted just like a chunk to motivate me, like up front. Because if I had only gotten like $50 or $100 or something, I would have just bought video games or something like that. But getting like 300 all up once at that age was just like, whoa, can actually probably do this. And then my guitar teacher at the time, Matt Mills, shout out. I wouldn't be where I am right now if it wasn't for him. But he would pay me like $70 to mow his lawn. Shit like that. Yeah, because he knew I wanted the guitar.
What a boss.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
But he would just like, sometimes like some people would just like overpay me for chores every now and then because they knew I was like working to try and save up to get the guitar. Because almost $2,000, $1,735 at the time, which is crazy to think that a full price Music Man guitar used to be less than $2,000. But this was like mid 2000s, so it was a while ago now. Those prices. It'd be nice to have more people to get them, but
a retro price sale.
It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, everything inevitably goes up, you know, with all the craziness. Time moves on. That's an awesome story, man. I love hearing that. It's funny that you're a guitar teacher too, because you're probably like paying him for lessons, and then he's like turning around and paying you to like do his lawn and shit. And it's
Yeah,
like,
my dad was. I wasn't.
okay,
But yeah,
that's fair enough. That's fair
Yeah.
enough. So the money went to your teacher and then back to you.
yeah,
in
full
this kind of-
circle.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Although we earned it that first time, that shit was way overgrown first time. It was like up to like my knees, and like you'd have to go like crazy slow with the lawnmower. It was, I mean, it was a decent lawnmower. It wasn't like anything. It wasn't like a riding one, but still, you'd have to walk like super slow. If you went too fast, it'd shut off because the grass was like.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the first time at least.
Yeah.
First time at least.
Damn. That's a great way to do it, though.
Yep.
And where are you living at these days?
I'm in LA.
Yeah.
Now.
And where are you from? Where are you from originally?
Northern Virginia.
Okay, so that's where you were cutting lawns and stuff.
Yeah, I just tell people DC because then I don't have to explain that I'm not from the South, technically.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know why. And if you tell people you're from Virginia, they're like, "Oh, is that in the South?" I'm like, technically, by like, lines in history, but I was so far north in it was practically DC.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just less confusing. It's like people saying they're from Chicago. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you know any of the Animals Leaders guys back in the day before they moved out, or does that happen later?
That happened later. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Same with like the Periphery guys and all of that. Everyone's from that same area, but I didn't. When I was growing up in like high school and stuff like that, I didn't know them at the time. That happened after I started touring and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, all same area. There's something in the water over there, I guess.
Dude, for real. Yeah, there's so much going on that with all these players that are all kind of nestled, and that kind of happens though through the years. Like you see it. You don't see it in the same way that maybe we saw it with like the grunge movement or like the early '80s LA movement and stuff like that. But when you're looking back retrospectively, DC and the East Coast, New York, area like there produced a whole ton of great bands, including like what you got. Wasn't Kill Switch from out there too? And like yeah,
that's more. I think it's a little more north,
more Boston, or
like Boston area, where like the All That Remains area, where the All That Remains guys are from.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That whole like Worcester, like Palladium, area type vibe, Northern Mass.
So, tell me about your journey with guitar picks. Like, I want to know, like, did that original, guitar teacher of yours, did he influence you around guitar picks? And do you remember anything about the early days of your guitar picks? Was there any notable stories? And how did you get to this signature that you have now?
So honestly, I haven't really this is the first time I thought about that, like in a long time. Because I mean, obviously, when you're first starting out, like you don't know what you like yet at all, or what's best for what you're trying to do, and you inevitably would probably start out with like a normal size pick that's flimsy, like
Sure.
at least that's usually what's just like laying around or something, like something you'd use for like an acoustic guitar. You know what I mean? Like I would have to. The Jazz 3s, the smaller ones, like they just sound dull and like thuddy on an acoustic guitar.
Mm-hmm.
That's supposed to sound like bright and shimmery. So I would use something like this for that, but I couldn't like shred. It actually just happens to be a Topo Chico.
I was going to say, is that Topo Chico?
Yeah, the Topo Chico pick with like some of their other artwork on the back. But these are great for that bright shimmery sound, and I think I would have started with something like this. I imagine maybe a little thicker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. My dad was a bass player, and he uses his fingers. So there wasn't like probably a ton of stuff lying around at the beginning, but I haven't thought about that in such a long time. I can't remember what the very first ones I used were. But I know I eventually obviously found Jazz 3s. Actually, I have a few of them laying right here. I went through phases of, using the red one. Which I think is a little bit like slippy, like more slippery.
Mm-hmm. That nylon feel.
Yeah, compared to the black. This is actually a Petrucci one, I think. But I think his is his actual Jazz 3 sized one is just an Ultex, but slightly beveled. I think is what they did. But and then for forever I was just using the regular Tortexes because they could print. Because I didn't have this new one yet. That's like my actual full blown signature one. But so I just forced myself to get used to these so I could throw them out at people at the crowd and they'd get, something that was, unique to me with the artwork on there. But I went back and forth between all those different types of Jazz 3s. I think the original one was always my favorite. Just the straight, plain, just regular black one. And then for a while, actually not a while, but Ernie Ball came out with the Prodigies. And I tried using those for a little bit because they wanted me to, just give them a shot. And I've seen other people get really into them, but I used them for like 2 months straight. And then I just picked up a Jazz 3 again just to see like how it felt in comparison. I just started playing better again. So, and not that I was playing bad with the Prodigies at all, but I don't know. It just felt like more natural to me just going back to the Jazz 3 because it's like if it's not broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Until we came up with this, which is essentially a combo of a regular Jazz 3 and a Sharp is how this came to be. Because I was over at Tim Hence's house when he still lived out here, and they like the Sharps a lot, the Polyphia guys, like just the regular Sharps, the big pick ones.
Purple ones, yeah.
Yep. And I've never, I obviously can't do big picks, but there's something about the way that the Sharps just like went through the strings. I could tell there's like something like special about it. Like it just seemed to just barrel through them like with much less effort for some reason, that sharp tip. So when Dunlop approached me to do a full-blown signature, I just obviously had to think of something that hasn't been done before, but I had no clue at all that when I pitched this idea that they had never done a Jazz 3 size Sharp ever in like the history of the company. So I was like, oh, holy crap. I was just trying to find a cool way to like have that tip like that just like goes through the string so easily, but in a size that I'm used to playing still. So, and then this white Ultex is a little like softer. The prototypes were, I have one of them here, the 3D printed ones. I played them to absolute shit. Oh yeah. They're like to the point where they were getting like snags and stuff in them because this is just like, it doesn't hold up.
Super soft, that stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't hold up at all. So they would only last me. They felt so good. They would only last me like a couple days, and then I'd have to stop playing them because they would literally start getting like snags and like caught in the strings and stuff like that because they would that material. It's just meant for looking at. It's not meant for like playing. But this white one like softened the material just enough, and we did a little bit of a bevel, so it's not just like 90 degrees, just like scraping the strings. Essentially it goes through it a little bit easier. And yeah, that's how I got now I can't use anything else at all. I pick up like even a regular Jazz 3 and I'm like, oh, this feels like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right anymore.
So did you guys did you choose a 1.4 like a regular Jazz 3, or did you do a little more 1.5? I haven't mic'd this, so.
He had to take out his like micrometer to like remember what exactly we did, because I think I just threw out a random number just to be a dick about it. Just
like 1.3572.
Exactly, something like that. Yeah, I think it's like 1.368 or something.
Oh,
I can't.
Really?
Yeah,
okay, that's even cooler.
I can't remember. It's something like very very specific like that though, just because we could.
Because I'm holding it next to the Prime Tone, the one that Tosin's mostly using, the Prime Tone Jazz 3 these days, and that one, that's a 1.4, and it honestly looks a little bit thicker than that to me. So it looks like it could be like a 1.4 plus. But
yeah, I'm looking at my thread with Frank right now.
Yeah, Frank Aresti.
Yeah, see if I can, because I know he said it at some point recently, because I was asking him questions about it so I could like talk about the picks and stuff. I don't want to waste too much time trying to find it, but I know it's something very specific, like a few decimal points, just because.
Okay.
Like 1.368 or something. So it's close enough.
That's rad. And you didn't want a molded grip. You just had raised letters put on yours here.
Yep.
So that's enough grip for you, huh?
Yes. Yeah. I felt like for some reason, because I did use the max grips for a while. And I don't know, for me at least, with the clamminess of my hands, like live, once my hands would start to get like a little bit like too sweaty, I felt like the max grips moved around more.
Really?
For some reason.
Interesting.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's like they held more sweat or something in those little cavernous things.
Exactly. That's what I think was happening too. Like it would just get like too wet. Like a live outdoor show or like a small club one, they get like crazy hot. So I think that's probably what it was. Like it would just get like caught in like the max grip part of it and then just like end up just like rolling around some. I was like, that's the exact opposite of what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, that's strange, but like I can see it happening because in all the like the manufactured molded grips that Dunlop does, that's like there's this the potential for it to kind of like hold the water or the sweat in. I could see that, whereas with just the raised letters, there's nowhere for it to hold in and stay there. You could just kind of keep that grip.
Yep. Yeah, it's plenty for me.
Yeah, it's a cool. I always have a hard time with sharp picks. I mean, Polyphia and Chon both, and Jeff Loomis. We did Jeff's his molded pick as well.
Oh yeah.
Which is basically the big brother to yours, in a lot of ways. But yours has the bevel on it, which I actually, for me, your pick is more playable. Sorry, Jeff. But it's more play. His is like a 1.5. It's a huge pick, and
it is. Yeah.
And it's like modeled after the blocky edges of Tortex, right? So, but it's molded into Ultex. So his is supposed to be kind of almost the same thing as what the Polyphia boys use, but out of a stiffer material, whereas yours is kind of built a little even more for speed with that bevel on it.
Yep.
And is it asymmetrical or is it symmetrical on the bevel? Looks asymmetrical.
So the way we got that bevel was he sent me one of these ones and I played it for maybe like an hour and then sent it back.
Oh, and they copied that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like an exact, like it's naturally beveled. Essentially.
That's the shit. That's what that one Petrucci, the Petrucci NYC is basically that of hit for him.
Yep, that's where I got the idea from.
Okay. Yeah. Hey man, if it ain't broke, don't fucking fix it, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we could all learn 25,000 lessons from that guy. I mean, he's the godfather.
That's it.
Yeah, just it. Yeah, no, maybe a few more. Maybe a few more. Yeah.
25,004.
Yeah, and 4 plus 4. That's cool. It's just in the light that I'm just now seeing that asymmetrical kind of bevel that's going on here. And that's, I don't know, that's I think that makes it, that's probably why this is more playable to me, even though the sharp picks are a little difficult for me at times, just because I have to reorient. I'm really into the flow picks, the Andy James and the Petrucci ones. The wider.
I have one of those laying right here too. Actually, it's like, I don't know why I'm so prepared for this podcast. They're literally just laying right here.
That's perfect.
But I understand why guys like these a lot. They're not for me, but when I played with them for the first time, because I remember like when John first figured out that he liked these a lot from Andy, and I understand why. Like I totally get why they like them, but it's just not for me. I couldn't get used to it. But they do have a very unique sound in the way that they go through the strings really easy. But this is another one too. You couldn't use it for like acoustic guitar strumming or something like that. Yeah, no. It would just sound dull and very like stiff.
Dude, and honestly, the difference between the accuracy difference, the thing that I talked to the Polyphia guys around is like the beautiful thing about those sharp picks is they're so accurate, and you just have to like reorient yourself. You got to play nothing else except for those picks for a while to like calibrate your hand, proprioception around like what you're holding, and then once you stay in that lane for a good while, then it becomes second nature. But like, I think it's almost the reason why maybe a lot more people would gravitate to this, because it's kind of easier. It's like
the flows.
Yeah, the flow. It's a little. It's a little less. It's a tiny bit less. Not that you can't be accurate with it, but it's a tiny less accurate in a way when you compare it to something this precise. This is on the money. You have to be on the money with this.
Yep.
So, to people out there considering even picking up your pick, I would say if you want to be a better player, even if you're not trying to be Jason Richardson, buy this pick, because it's going to make you a better player. And if you switch back to something else later on, it's going to tighten your game up. I think.
Yeah, no, that's a really good way to put it. I definitely agree. Like, one thing, that's even the big sharps, when I can't use big picks, I was like, there's something about this that like I just have to try less to like do the same thing, if that makes sense. And even more so with my actual ones now. Like, I literally, everything's just easier with this pick.
And they're only available in this like ivory white.
Yep, as of right now, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. That's cool. I have a special edition Petrucci in ivory white here too.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, it changes the sound a little bit for sure. Because that original Ultex material, the like opaque yellow one, like that one, it was a little harsh sounding, because we did the first batch with nothing, like no Rays logo or anything like that. And even with the bevel, it was still like just a little like, what's a good adjective? I don't want to just keep saying harsh, but it just was a little like abrasive.
Like too much top end.
Yeah. Yeah, just like a little abrasive and just like too harsh. That's like all it's coming to mind right now. But as soon as we changed over to this material, this white Ultex, it just like softened the pickup just enough to like get rid of that altogether.
That's awesome. Yeah, took some of the high end out of it, warms it up a little bit.
Yep, exactly.
Softens the feel of the pick just a smidge too. Usually color and will tend to like just soften a little bit. Like, it's interesting too that you gravitated towards the black Jazz 3s. The black Jazz 3s are nicknamed the Stiffo because they're that colorant makes them a little bit stiffer than the red ones, and oftentimes a little more resilient. So they might have lasted you longer too. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, now that you mentioned that, I do remember like blowing through the red ones, like for sure. I do pick really hard as well, which is another reason why I wanted to do like I like Ultex so much, is because it's like definitely the most. It definitely holds up the most for sure. I remember when I was using the not these the other Petrucci Jazz 3s. I can't.
Black, the JP Shield ones.
Yeah, they're two-tone. They was like matte. Yeah, those. Yeah.
Yeah, shiny tip.
Yeah, when I was using those, I would have to consciously throw one out every single night, because after one show, they were too worn down for me to keep using them.
Wow.
Yeah. I could like tell the difference for sure.
Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, these are Ultex as well, I believe. But
yeah, I don't know. I would just remember like anytime even like a second show, I would go like play like a fast shred solo or something like that, and I could like feel it just a little bit. Obviously, it's very subtle, but it was enough for me to be like, oh, I just have to throw it out every night. Yeah.
Start fresh.
Yep.
When you're holding the pick, I mean, I know you're kind of close up to the camera there, but like, what do you have an angle like forward or back, or are you kind of hitting the string straight on?
I don't overthink the angle too much, as long as you're not like because that's one thing that I always tell students whenever I'm giving lessons and stuff like that. Like, don't get like too crazy obsessed with pick angle, as long as it's just like a natural, just like 45-degree angle. Like, as long as you're kind of like in that ballpark range, like everything should be fine. Just as long as you're not like, like with holding it with like two fingers like this and like picking like backwards almost, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost the Marty Friedman approach. I don't know. He's
yeah. Some guys are, they like the antithesis to my technique and stuff like that for sure. I've seen it done, but I mean, I know it has worked for me and got me to where I am. But I do see some guys like Marty and then like Zach Wild and other guys. I'm like, I don't know how you're doing it, but I'm hearing it and it sounds sick.
Yeah, it looks like an alien's plan when I see Marty, and he's great, man. He's one of my favorite players, and I'm just like, bro, and he's kind of like, yeah, I don't know, let's just go. Come on, I'm playing music here, like he doesn't even have. He's like, when I asked him about picks, he's like, what the most important thing about a guitar pick is? What I think is most important is what's on it, what's printed on it. And I'm like,
really?
What? Yeah. And he's like, I'm like, okay, you're throwing me for like a spiritual Zen loop. Topo Cheek, spicy water, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. He was like, because he was kind of getting energetic about it. He was like, oh, well, like, I think it's important to have something cool on there and like, a cool logo or this or cool. I'm like, okay, all right. Because he's just like a standard shape, medium hard like guy, and he's one of those players that he's like, I'm gonna sound like me no matter what he picks up. He can pick up any guitar anywhere with any pick and just kind of like still sounds like Marty Friedman, no problem.
Yeah, that's dope.
Which I have to say is like enviable, because like the rest, everybody else that has like real deep preferences is kind of owned by their preferences. Like
it's true.
I talked to Tom Morello a little bit, and he's like, one day, man, he's like, I was at the show. We just showed up last minute, and I got to the gig, and I didn't have any guitar picks in my pocket. And he plays the little Tortex, like the purple Tortex Jazz 3s. He's like, can't play anything else. He was like, man, I'm not even a guitar player if I don't have those picks. And so I told my assistant, I'm like, go to my car. There's got to be some on the floor somewhere in my car. I'm that messy of a dude. Like somebody's out there rummaging through his car to find a guitar pick and they just got it into his hand. He's like, okay, good. Because like, I wasn't even going to try to be a guitarist today if I didn't have one of these picks. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's a bit extreme, but I understand. That's why I always keep like 3 or 4 of these in my wallet. Like I just have them like behind like my license, just like a few of them in there.
But if you got caught off guard, and all there was a John Petrucci flow, and it was a jam session, could you do it? Could you go?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be a little like in my head about it, but it would be fine. I'm not like improv is one of my weakest points in my playing, in my opinion. Anytime I do it, it's fine. I feel like everyone says it's fine. And then I watch videos back later, and it's definitely better than I thought it was in the moment. But it's just because it's something that I just overlooked kind of like when I was in high school and stuff like that. Especially with metal, it's not like something that's like, done a lot, if that makes sense.
It's everything's planned.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I was never like super big into like blues and like all of that stuff that's way more, geared towards that. Like I respect the shit out of it. Like some of those players are insane, like Joe Bonamassa, Stevie Ray, etc. Like they're incredible players. It was just, I was just way more into like, Dream Theater, Children of Bodom, stuff like that, which isn't exactly bluesy. So I just, although, so I know I need to work on improv more. Like I like more of the stuff, when it comes to improv, like I'm way more interested in things like, dudes like Greg Howe, Guthrie Govan, Alan Holdsworth, like that kind of stuff is more, when I think of improv, that's what I would like to be good at, is like in that vein, not necessarily just ripping like pentatonic stuff, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I need to practice it more for sure. Whenever I do it, I'm just in my head about it because I know it could be. I'm comparing it to my composed stuff. That I know what I'm capable of, but I can't just pull that out my ass on the spot, which I wish I could. Like Guthrie, he could do that. He can just pull that stuff out of his ass on the spot. He's a freak.
He's one of the guys. I mean, he's maybe the guy kind of in the fields right now. Yeah, I mean, and like that's an interesting thing I find with with musicians, especially in your realm, it can be a difficult thing because you've rehearsed so much in your in the way that you've composed your stuff that and it's so well thought out, and it's so like you've gone over 1,000 million times just to get it to like in that place. And then somebody says, "Here, just play, man. Here's a 4/4 thing, and like just rip for a bit." And you're like, I can't.
I'm like, all right, let me go back to my studio and write something, and then I'll
make up some improvised looking licks for you. I'll be right back. You know, like
exactly. Yeah.
I think, and I that obviously is a practice. I think you keep saying I need to practice, and I'm like, that's
it's a different muscle.
Can you free yourself to just like let things come out? Some of it's going to be kind of pre-rehearsed, you know, like because you have familiar shapes, familiar things that you want to try to pull off. But I think that the challenge there, as you probably know, I mean, obviously it's like that. It's can I let myself go and just listen to what's happening in the moment without having to orchestrate something and just have an original moment now with the guitar and let it be a little messy. It doesn't have to be perfect, right?
I'm getting better at that, like accepting that, which is what definitely helped quite a lot. I mean, it's made me not practice as much as I probably should in order to be able to maintain my technique to play my songs. Like right now, like I couldn't play one of my songs start to finish right now because I haven't been playing guitar. Because after that show, I was like, or after the whiskey show, I was like, all right, like everything's been so nonstop. Like there was a few days, like 12, 16-hour days of just like working on stuff, and to get the tab book finished in like within a reasonable amount of time. The books were still late. They didn't make it on release day because I think I have one right over here. One sec.
No problem.
My bad. But yeah, there was 2 days where I just didn't sleep at all trying to get this thing done.
Oh geez.
Yeah, in time, just to even have it come out close to like the release date. And yeah, so there was just stuff like that, just to beat deadlines. And I had to, I don't want to like get into like a lot of detail about it, but I had to fire my old manager. So there was just like, I was doing it all on my own, essentially everything about it, all the merchandise, like coordinating everything, all that stuff. So there was literally like 2 days where I just didn't sleep trying to finish proofreading this monstrosity.
And did you self-publish that, or did you go through like Sheet Happens or something like that, or?
I transcribed it all on my own, but Sheet Happens, they printed it.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's like it's the same exact quality as all their stuff.
Sure.
It doesn't have like any of the cool photos or anything like that like they do. I love what they go all out when they do the entire thing, but yeah. I don't know, I just didn't want to pay to proofread stuff. You know what I mean? Like my shit's so crazy. It's like I would have to be like, and I know how to do it. I know how to transcribe it. So it's like I might as well just do it instead of being like, hey, on for example, on page 113 on measure 111, the fourth note on beat 3 of the sextuplet grouping is on the wrong string. Can you move it down? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it would have to be like bullet point note shit like that. And I was just like, I just know I'm just gonna do it. Like, it's fine. It was a lot of work, but it pays off.
That makes all the sense to me. That if I were you, I would do that too. I can see on the flip side, there's probably plenty of players out there that don't want to or don't know how to accurately do that for themselves. So Sheet Happens comes, swoops in and says, we got you. Just like proofread this, make sure that we didn't put that note on the fourth beat, on the, on the third beat, whatever,
It's a lot of work, which is why I understand why people don't, want to take the effort to go, because you got to learn the softwares and like music theory and things like that. So if it's not like something you're into, it's definitely daunting for sure, and intimidating.
Yeah. Especially with an album like like you just put out. I mean, is there a note count?
12.
Yeah, come on. I mean, individual played notes. I don't care the 12 that repeat.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Maybe if someone wants to figure it out. I've seen someone say, like, someone has figured some things out in some of my songs. I'm like, wow, that took a little bit of effort in slowing it down to actually count all of that. Like 60 notes in like 4 seconds or something like that. I don't know. I can't remember which song that was, but I have seen someone say that. I'm like, yeah, it's probably true. Like, I don't know. I'm not thinking like that though when I'm writing it. Yeah.
No, but there should be some AI software that goes through, that just rips through your whole album. Is like, there is 733,000 notes that were done.
Yeah. It's funny. I just always like responding with 12 when people ask me that, because I mean that's technically all that there is. Just they're in different octaves.
Yeah. Until you get microtonal, bro. Where's your microtonal frets?
Oh shit. I could just do weird like quarter step bends.
There you go.
Maybe
that'll work. Yeah, man. Well, so you're obviously a very precise person, obviously like detail oriented. Where did somebody inspire you? Are you naturally that way from a young age? Did your dad or anybody else like kind of model that behavior for you?
I don't know, I haven't thought about that. Maybe to an extent, yeah. But honestly, what started with this stuff, like the transcribing, are you just kind of asking in general, or like more like stuff like
music and life? Yeah.
Well, I think with the music, I just wanted to, like, when it came to like learning all of this stuff and like music theory and all, I just wanted to know as much as I could about it, is essentially what it came down to. I was like, it's part of it, so it's like, why not learn it? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like literally like its own language. It's like when people come to me for lessons and stuff, and they want to learn like all these crazy arpeggios and like all like learn like the weird scales and things like that. I'm like, well, do you know what a mode is first? And then they're like, no. I'm like, okay, well, it's kind of like you need to know the alphabet before you can read and speak and stuff. So it's like you have to learn this first set of stuff, like even basic things like pentatonic and just the regular major modes, before I could throw something at you like Dorian Sharp 4, and then you just automatically know it's like what that sounds like, where it is within the harmonic minor scale, and like all that kind of stuff. It's like it's stepping stones, essentially. But yeah, I just wanted to know as much as I could about music. So I took music theory in high school. Fortunately, my high school offered that. I think the second year, or I was the only one in music theory too. I might have still be the only one that's ever taken that class in the history of that I don't know. Yeah, I would just, sick.
That's
definitely learned a lot.
Private lessons for a whole quarter or semester or something for you.
Yep. Sometimes I would just bring my guitar and just practice, like, because since I think my teacher, Mr. Carnahan, he was like teaching orchestra or something at the same time, and I was just in his office either practicing or like on like a music theory website, like just learning like even like more extensive stuff. It got to the point where he would have me like grade papers.
Whoa.
Yeah, like grade music theory like exams and stuff like that. He's like, "Oh no, you'll do it right. So here, just grade these for me." I was like, okay.
And how old were you? This like 16, 17 or something?
It's high school, like my senior year. So yeah, probably
17, 18.
He's 17 and 16, 17, somewhere around there. Yeah. I remember my freshman year, I finished the music theory final like 30 minutes before anyone else did, and got like 100 on it.
Yeah.
I mean, if I want to do it, it stays up here. Like, but before I went on tour with All Shall Perish and stuff, I did have a partial scholarship to Berkeley, and I straight up told my parents, is like, I'm not doing one liberal art. Not one.
Not one.
No, I'm not doing math, science, English, any of that shit. It's like, if I'm going to music college, I don't even care if it doesn't give me a full degree. I only want to learn about music stuff. Because if I go and sit in a class and they're like math, science. It says like some of that stuff, like it obviously is cool in its own right. But if I was going to Berkeley, I wanted to only focus on music because I know that other stuff would have just gone in one ear and right out the other.
So you have to be connected to the thing for it to kind of land and stick. It sounds like.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. And I was conscious of that, and I just didn't want to waste my time or their money. So I was like, if I'm gonna go, I'm going for one thing only.
Man, there's nothing better than being clear about what it is that you want, man. And that's, as I get older, the more I'm like thankful whenever I run into somebody that's like, you know what, I don't want, I know I'm not going to do
yeah
are these things, and so you're like, whenever you can get clear on something, it's just like a good feeling. And being cognizant of money being spent and all that stuff too,
Berkeley's not cheap either.
Oh no.
Yeah. Even a partial scholarship is, that helps, especially with there.
So how much time did you spend there? Did you go for very long?
No, I only did summer camps. I did the guitar sessions, which I think was a week. I think that was summer of my sophomore year of high school, and then I did the 5-week program summer of my junior year. So it was like I lived on campus and everything for 5 weeks. So that was really cool. Learned a lot there as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you think was most beneficial about that time at Berkeley?
Definitely getting a taste of what it would have been like to, go to that was the whole point of it, is like get you ready to actually go. And that's where I think I did like that was when I got the scholarship, was from that 5-week program. And actually another full circle moment. One of the dude who did my placement exam that recommended me for scholarship at that, I hit him up and I was like, yo, can you help proofread my book? Like just for like anal nitpicky, like, proper notation stuff. And that was, you probably can't see it, but his name is right in there in the proofread section.
Oh, that's cool.
Gustavo Assis Brazil. If you might have heard that name.
I have heard.
Yeah. Hybrid picking books and stuff like that. I remember first time I toured with Tosin when I was still in All-Shall Parish and he was filling for Born of Osiris. I had that book from him and Tosin pulled that book. I was like, oh, you have that book too? I was like, that's so, I don't know, small. It's just sick seeing stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, I mean, everybody that comes or like that spends any time at Berkeley tends to get a certain, I mean, everybody comes out with their own flavor, but it's just such a high level proficiency, and so many of the Berkeley people know of the other Berkeley people, and tend to find some sort of commonality or with either a teacher or a chorus or something like that. I just know so many people that have gone in there, or you just even been there for a little bit like yourself, and then like bam, like you kind of already were on the trajectory, and it sounds like you probably maybe even would have went if you didn't go on tour.
Oh yeah, I definitely would have gone if I hadn't gotten the opportunity to tour with All-Shall Parish. But the only reason I wanted to go to Berkeley was just to meet a group of like-minded people that all wanted to play the same thing, that were just on the same skill level as me, and then go on tour. That was the goal. I wanted to go there, make a sick Dream Theater type band.
Isn't that what happened with John Petrucci?
Yeah.
I'm like, another lesson learned, my friend. Another lesson learned.
I think they all ended up dropping out. I remember my parents, when they went to the orientation thing after I gotten the partial scholarship, the person heading to meeting or whatever is like this, said that Berkeley's proud of their dropout rate.
That's actually a really funny thing to be, like we're so stoked because we're so good. You're going to leave before you even finish.
Exactly. It's like people's careers just take off before they can even finish school. Like if John Mayer, I'm pretty sure, is a Berkeley dropout.
Oh shit.
I'm pretty sure he is. I don't want to be misquoted, but I'm pretty positive he's a Berkeley dropout.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, the Dream Theater guys, at least John and Portnoy, they were all there for sure, and then they all dropped out. I'm trying to think of some other ones that those are the only ones that immediately come to mind, but there's definitely a few others, like famous musicians, that just their career just popped off before they could finish school.
Yeah. What a cool scenario all the way around, man. Because I mean, I think in a lot of ways, just school in general, for a lot of people, they just get into school. If they don't even know that they're going to be a guitar player, if they're going to be a history major or this or that, whatever, school tends to find a way of like giving you a big wide variety. You get introduced to a lot of people and a lot of flavors and people doing things differently, and you're like, oh shit, I'm definitely not going to do it the way these people are doing it. Mm-hmm. So then it helps you like decide on what your trajectory is, hopefully. And in a music school like that, I mean, I think MI is kind of a similar thing. I don't know if I don't think they have quite the dropout rate as Berkeley, but but in the same fashion, same way anyway. Mm-hmm. But it's the same thing. It's like you almost want to go and just hang out on the playground for a little while and say, who's around, who's hanging out? Like, let's see if we can put something together.
Yep. That was my initial intent. Was obviously, just keep learning as much as I could. But the main goal was to just form a sick band and go on tour. And I was able to just bypass that step. Mm. And then actually, there's a lot of stuff that I've learned real world that I think is, in hindsight, more beneficial than just sitting in a classroom. You know what I mean?
What are some examples of that?
A lot of it is more like the computer type stuff, like with Pro Tools and all of that stuff. Because like some of like the best engineers out there, like they didn't go to school for it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But at least one of like the guy who mixes my stuff, Taylor Larson, like he didn't go to any sort of like mixing school or something like that. Like he just figured most of it out all on his own, just from trial and error, working with messing with stuff in there, and then just stuff online, and from working like interning at different studios and things like that. And then he's formed his own sound that is like very sought after now. But yeah, that, and just touring in general, just like being out on the road, just like experiencing it. Like you can't be like taught that in a classroom. You know what I mean?
That's so true. I mean, you can't. It's hard to prepare somebody for the stage outside of just putting them on stage and saying, "Look, man, you got to get out there and you got to do it, and you got to work through whatever your blocks might be."
Yep.
And for you, I mean, like, do you remember distinctly? Was there? I mean, you hit the stage relatively early, like we just discussed, but like, was there a moment as you started to kind of transition into this touring situation where you're like feeling unsure, shaky around being a guy out there playing a million notes and holding it down on the stage?
Honestly, the very first show was All Shall Perish. When I was 17, I was waiting for that to happen. But obviously I had played a bunch of shows before that, like with my local band. Sorry, excuse me. Because I had a local band, Danny from Vale Maya, the bass player, the 7-string bass player. We grew up in this like right next to each other, and we were in a local band together. So we were like opening for bands like Faceless, Suicide Silence, Vale.
Sick.
When we were in high school. And crap, I just lost my train of thought. What was I?
How did it feel moving into the live?
Yeah. Nervousness. That's it. So the very I was prefacing that. That's what I was doing. So I played a bunch of shows before. I was also in I was in a church band for a while too. And so I was like, practicing that and playing that. It was actually cool because sometimes like the Christmas special stuff, we would play Trans-Siberian songs. So we would do like, I would get to shred that part in the Carol of Bells version, Carol of the Bells from Trans-Siberian. So I had played plenty, but I was expecting to get really nervous for the first All Shall Perish show. And I remember standing on stage waiting for it to kick in, and it just never did. I was like literally on stage. We were about to start, and I was like, all right, I'm going to start shaking my ass off and just fuck up left and right. And then it just didn't happen. It's like, all right, that's cool. It definitely makes things easier.
Well, you must have been so prepared that.
Exactly. Like I was saying earlier, how I don't like improv because I don't flex that muscle enough. I was like, literally, I knew the songs. I knew all the parts. I knew exactly what I needed to play and just went up there and did it.
And no, and all that Parrish did was that was you playing live to a click?
Oh no, that was just wedges. No,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
just,
even
no,
kind of
not
cooler,
even
honestly.
in ears or anything. Not that in ears didn't happen for me until quite a few years later when I was in Chelsea Grin. Was the first time, and that was like months into being into that band too. Like first few tours I did with them were all still like earplugs and just floor wedges.
And do you click out with you when you and Luke play, like in your ears? Do you have?
Oh yeah,
Because your stuff has got like fluctuations in tempo too, so it's probably got to help.
And I do all the patch changes automated, so I don't have to worry about like tap dancing on stage or anything like that. Because sometimes they like even just like a lo-fi automation, like the phone EQ, even that sometimes it only happens for like a measure, so I can't be like playing out like crazy shred stuff and then trying to like tap dance at the same time. Like we're like, oh, lo-fi for like 2 counts, turn it back off, like stuff like that. So I just program everything to make that so much easier, and you can just do crazier stuff when you do it that way as well. But yeah, everything's do a click with Luke and I. Sometimes we're not even listening to each other. We're just listening to like the one, because we know it'll come out of the PA correctly if we're both perfectly in sync with locked into the metronome. There's parts in Hose Down in that song in particular where I'm only listening for the one and making sure like I know where certain notes are supposed to land. So I'm essentially just like chasing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And so do you ever find yourself a little in front or behind and have to kind of adjust midstream?
Sometimes, yeah. That there's a couple of parts that are sketch where I'm just like well, it's like a 90% success rate, I feel like.
So do you know what the variable is? Is it like too much caffeine, not enough caffeine, like something like that?
Sometimes, yeah, dude. Sometimes, like right now, like I have been practicing and I haven't ate yet, and I just had this giant coffee, so I'm definitely like, whoa. So it's a little shaky right now, just because I don't have anything solid in my system yet, and I'm just full of caffeine.
Not a good time to track your final take.
Nope.
Yeah,
definitely not. But yeah, I do have to be careful of that on tour.
Yeah, that's what I imagine. I mean, that's the part of the self-care of being on tour. I mean, one thing is, spending all the time getting the takes right in the studio. That's great because that's done over months or maybe a year or whatever it is, depending on your style. But live every night, it's a different thing. You got to take care of you all through the day until it's your 30 or 40 minutes or whatever on stage, or hour and a half if you're headlining with All It Remains or whatever, right? So
we've done those before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, fortunately my sleep schedule is horrific. Some of the other guys and All That Remains, like Mike has a kid now, so he's more of like a normal sleep schedule now. Like I at quote unquote normal, as in like a wake up at like 7 or 8, go to bed at like 9 or 10. You know what I mean? That's like considered normal. But on me, I'm always like waking up at like anywhere from like 11 to 1 and go to bed at like 4 in the morning. It's terrible. But on tour, it makes way more sense for the band, at least, because there's nothing to do until sound check around like noon or 1. So it's like, why am I going to wake up at like 8 in the morning and just sit on the bus for hours until it gets there with nothing to do at all? Like I can't even go and get like my cold brew. You know what I mean?
Right. That almost answers my next question, was like, what do you do to stay like fit, on tour? Do you work out at all? Do you like, how do you eat a certain way or anything?
I always try to be pretty, I don't drink soda ever. I've cut soda out years ago. So it's pretty much just water, coffee, juice, and, alcohol socially. But I used to be in way better shape. I'm trying to get back on it now. I used to do like 6 to 7, like 6 days a week and meal prep and shit like that. I did that for like 2-3 years. So I know like what to do to get back to that point, which is why I haven't done it yet, because it's so much fucking work. It's so much work. But once you get back into it, it's easier. It's just starting back up again that's always like the hardest. I'm actually like, my abs are still sore from like stuff I did like 6 days ago, because it's just been that long. You know, that first cycle back, your body just gets destroyed, and you got to be careful, or else like you'll be literally like incapacitated sore, which is what I did to my abs, which is why I'm still sore.
That's like when the first time. I don't do CrossFit, but I've done CrossFit a couple times, and holy fuck, like I went in, it was like a 25-minute workout, and it was like 4 days later, I was still like, I can barely walk normal. Like, it's like, it was difficult because I was trying to keep up, you know?
Exactly.
And I don't do that stuff every day. So.
Yeah, it's good to do that every now and then for sure. But like, definitely, like, I'm in the first cycle back right now, like starting to get back into working out, because like I did it at the beginning of the year. I was like back into it pretty good. And then I went out on tour and got sick like 3 times. So I had to stop. Oh. Then I hadn't had a sinus infection like a couple of years, and then on this last tour, got 2 of them.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Oh man. And that's something that you get every once in a while though? Like, it's kind of like,
it usually only happens on tour. Like I mean, obviously we're both in California. Like I do smoke weed. So it's legal here. So, but I stopped. Obviously, you know, when I got sick, I was just only doing like edibles anytime we were in a legal state, so I would, you know, try and get everything out. Like I didn't want to keep it in. I wanted to feel better, breathe, not have sinus pressure and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I can't be in there working out and stuff like that when I literally like I can barely like, you know, my face just feels like inflamed, like from all that stuff. So it just sucked. I was doing good. I had like lost most of the, like a good chunk of the COVID weight and like just some other stuff like that. And then I just literally got sick. Like there was 2 or 3 times on the tour. It was a 10-week tour, very long tour. So
how's it being on stage playing sick?
Annoying.
Yeah. At best. Probably at best.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, it is what it is, but it could be worse, obviously. But there were definitely Dayquil and NyQuil were like, I was popping that shit like crazy just to like feel like normal. Obviously, you know, not like overdosing or anything, but like taking what I needed to feel like a normal human being.
Yeah. What do you write or perform with marijuana, with weed? Do you like, is it a part of your writing creative process?
Well, sometimes at home. Yeah,
but not stage.
Not on stage. No, I don't touch anything until any sort of recreational anything or until after.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just because I know myself, and I've noticed like when I'm just like sitting here like practicing and stuff like that, like I'll obviously smoke, you know, at the end of the night. I try to keep it to just night now. I used to be all day, every day. I can't do that anymore. Just hurts. It hurts my chest. So yeah, it's just more efficient to just like wait until you're done with your stuff. For me, at least, that's what, like how I think about it now. It's like it's easier on my chest, works better, and costs less. So
yeah, that makes sense. Same, man. I've been in the phase of all day, every day, and I can operate that way for a season, and then it just catches up to me, and I'm like, you've been avoiding. There's a small list of things you've been avoiding, and they're like important things. You need to fucking go do them right now. You know, like And I'm like, oh yeah. Oh no, it'd be easier just to roll another one, dude. I mean, but
yeah, I feel you. But the main thing with me, I noticed when I'm just sitting here is my mind will start to wander, and I'll forget structure. Like, so I'll be in a different part of the song, but I think I'm like later in it. That's the biggest thing I've noticed. So I was like, I just avoid that from happening altogether live. I'm just like, I can wait. Like, I'm fine.
That's wise.
Yeah.
For all the reasons. And man, I mean, like I said earlier, like you've been for a while now, been included in like John Petrucci camps and like other cool, like teaching camps and stuff. And, you know, you're highly regarded as one of the most accurate players in the planet. So like, you know, and accurate at a billion notes, right? So it's like,
can't be up there brain farting structure because I'm stoned.
No, no, it's not going to help or do anybody any good.
Yeah.
You're like, sorry guys, let's start that track over again. My 30-second notes are just wait.
Yeah.
What song are we playing again?
Yeah.
Like,
can't be doing that. Yeah.
that's not going to work. That's not going to.
There is one funny. Now that you mentioned that, there's one funny thing. It wasn't because anyone was stoned or anything like that, but actually on that Dream Theater tour that Luke and I opened for in Europe, our sound guy at the time, I won't out him or anything like that. I would say who it was, but he forgot to turn our drum box on.
Whoa.
It was super hot out that day, like crazy hot, like 30, maybe like 34 Celsius, like something ignorantly hot for where we were. We had like solar blankets on stuff, and it was outside, and he just forgot to turn the drum box back on when we went to go start. We went to go start 10 tonight. As the song kicks in, there's just no drums in front of a Dream Theater crowd.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we did have to be like, oops, sorry, let's start that over again.
What? 1 second.
Yeah.
Our bad.
But it's because it was so hot. Like we were just keeping things off and like, so they wouldn't overheat. And we literally had to borrow solar blankets from the Dream Theater crew to like put over some of the stuff.
Try to deflect some of the heat.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's gnarly.
Yep.
So growing up, I mean, do you feel like you have kind of any defining like belief system? Were you raised within your religion? It sounds like you were in church a little bit from working with these church groups, but like sounds like it was minimal. Do you have anything that kind of helps you define or find inspiration in and around your life other than video games and guitar?
Well, I mean, good question. I haven't really thought about that. I'm not religious at all anymore. Just, through learning things and just about other belief systems and just more information and just becoming more educated about the whole like concept and ideology of just religion in general, just made me form different opinions in time once I just learned more about other stuff. So, but the that's a really good. I haven't really thought about that. Definitely film scores a lot. Like I'm trying to get my foot in the door at that, and I think I finally have. I think this last music video with that we did with Tina Guo, she's Hans Zimmer's cello player.
Oh,
so
cool.
That is proving to be a fruitful relationship so far, which is more bucket list stuff. I don't want to jinx anything because nothing's happened yet, but I have talked to him since we've done that music video. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully manifesting something, you know what I mean? But
yeah, I
have spoken to him on the phone, and so we'll see what happens with that. He said he's going to be back out here in LA next month. So,
okay, man, I'm looking forward to that. Whatever comes of that, man.
So
that's
hopefully
cool.
something happens. Fingers crossed. It seems promising. So we'll see.
He's kind of like top of food chain. So I mean, if you're going to get in, like, it's a place to enter into it, right?
Definitely not much bigger than him when it comes to that right now.
Yeah,
I did actually get to do something recently. My friend Hal, who also helped proofread this book for me.
Oh, cool.
He does stuff with. He's done stuff with Hans before, and he actually had another shot. He showed me how to use Sibelius instead of just Guitar Pro, or else because if I had used Guitar Pro, this thing would be twice as thick.
You're able to like condense it somehow.
Yeah, because like in Guitar Pro, for whatever reason, you can't hide empty staves. So it's like, say you have like 5 guitar parts for maybe like 8 measures in one song. Like it's just like, rhythm left and right, lead harmony, or lead and lead harmony, like an ambient clean part or something like that. But that's only for like maybe like 8 or 16 measures out of the whole song. The rest of the song will have three staves of empty shit the entire time, just like taking up space in the book.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, Guitar Pro can't hide that when it's not being utilized. Sibelius
Guitar Pro,
can.
fix that, bro.
I've emailed them multiple times.
Have you?
Yeah, and be like, well, you guys are gonna force me to like spend like $700 in a different software just so I can like make everything about the cost of this book less, like shipping, manufacturing, like just everything about the actual physical product is less because this thing's not 300 pages.
Yeah,
it's 141, fortunately.
Good.
But the other one was almost 300 from my first album.
Wow.
because I couldn't just like highlight everything and be like hide the stuff that's not being used. But back to what I was saying. My friend Hal, he had me. He scored a Lifetime movie. So there's a Lifetime movie called Jailbreak Lovers that I actually got to play some guitar on the score for. Like I got to re-record like some finger picking like nylon stuff, and I did like a guitar solo over a car chase scene.
Badass. And that's out right now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's called Jailbreak Lovers.
Okay. Check out that movie, y'all. That's cool.
It's all right. It was a fun watch. It was just cool to just be able to watch and be like, oh shit, that's like on TV, and I remember like re-recording those parts.
Yeah, that's got to be a cool feeling.
Yep.
Do you remember the first time that you were out somewhere public and heard other people listening to your music?
Yeah, I remember a few moments for sure. I remember when I was still in Born of Osiris at the time, like Danny, my friend, we were hanging out, and we were just like with like his girlfriend's parents, or his girlfriend and his girlfriend's parents, something like that. And we were just walking in a parking lot, like back to the car, and some guy drove by like blasting Born of Osiris. That's like one vivid thing that comes to mind, like right away.
Yeah. I
can't remember any others right off the top of my head, but that one in particular, I remember for sure.
That's cool shit. It's like, I mean, that's recognition wise. If you get random events, where stuff shows up and you're like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Out of context, maybe even those are like the best ones.
Yeah. Getting, or like eating at a restaurant and the waiter's like, hey, are you? And I'm like, yes,
most of the day. Yeah.
Most of the time. Yeah.
At this point, I mean, like I assume that you're friends with a lot of your heroes, and your heroes have probably become peers in a lot of ways at this point, right? So you're
strange concept to think about, but yeah, I think it's definitely gotten to that point for sure. Which is that's a bucket list shit. Like that's things you never think are ever going to happen when you're growing up, like teenager first, like going for what's actually happening real time right now. You know what I mean? Like it's like I'm doing it.
And all that remains is like probably one of your favorite bands, or was a band that you grew up with, I imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they were. Yeah, that album, the anniversary tour we just did, Fall of Ideals, that album came out 2005 or 2006, and I was in high school jamming that shit. So good. Still my favorite album of their catalog. Me too. Easily. Yep. Yeah. I haven't written anything yet. That I can definitely say that's my favorite third party. Like from a third party perspective, that's still my favorite one for sure. Why do you think that is? Do you think it was Adam D being involved, or was it just like a perfect storm with those guys? I think it was a perfect storm. It's like everything all at the same time just happened correctly. Like from what I've heard from them, because they got the new drummer. That was the first album with Shannon. So they had like, that was the first album with like insane double bass on it and stuff like that. And then Adam definitely did help with some of the more catchy stuff. I feel like, I think they told me like This Calling, the chorus of that was like this real notey, like kind of crazy riff. And then he was like, dude, listen to what he's singing. Like, it's like this like big, huge, like epic, pretty melody, like just play some chords. And they were like, okay. And they just did that instead. And then that's how that, definitely helped. It's less distracting. You could pay more attention to the vocals and the double kick and stuff like that. Yeah, that's an album. Like it's such a good album from start to finish. It's like one that when that hit, like I almost didn't listen to anything else for, I don't know, months. Like I was in that mode of just like keep it on repeat, baby, because that shit is good. Yeah, like, it didn't get old. It's still not old. No, I put it on now and I'm like, oh, this is that album. Oh, and I know all the lyrics, and like that's the mark of a good piece of art to me, in that timeless respect. And I feel like when Killswitch came back with Jesse, that first record back had a bunch of that feeling in it. Like it wasn't obviously the same, but I felt like, I was like, he's using some of the stuff he
pulled out on Fall of Ideals, like it's here on what is that arm? Is it like I'm so bad with remembering the names.
Yeah, that whole little like chunk of time, that era, like mid 2000s, like when all that stuff, like Kill Switch, As They Dying, All That Remains, was popping up. Like that was a really good time.
Disarm the Descent. That's the album.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I still think that for the Jesse albums, that's my favorite. But the newer ones are good too. There's good stuff on there. It's just like that one's like for me sticks out as like the one that I can play over and over and over again, and it like just kills. Like lyrics hit just right. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I feel you. I think End of Heartache was the biggest one for me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, with Howard, man, that's different. That's they're the same band, but they're like a different band, you know. Yeah. And I'm like I love both of them. I can't really. That's the other cool thing, man. So like you ended up being a guest on Scion with Howard. So
that was sick.
That's a sick solo too. Like I hit Jared up when that came out. I was like, bro, how did you? I'm so proud of you. Like to put this album together with Howard. It's like a Kill Switch album almost that didn't get made, but heavier in certain ways.
Yeah, it's like a heavier, techier Kill Switch.
Yeah. Oh, that's very listenable album. I'm still putting that together. Like it's in one of my rotations for sure.
Nice. Yeah. I love how that solo came out. Actually, there was 2 versions of it. He I wrote an initial version. He told me, he sent me the song and then I wrote to it. This was like a couple years, honestly, I think, before the album finally came out. And he's like, yo, we redid the song a little bit. Can you mind redoing the solo? And he sent it to me. I'm like, this is the same song. I'm like, this is an entirely different song. He's like, no, it's the same one. I'm like, no, okay. I mean,
sure.
Maybe that's how it started, but it's definitely a entirely different song altogether. So I ended up having to write 2 solos.
Oh, interesting. Are you stoked with the second one?
Yeah, the first one was more shreddy because it had like a little bit more room for that in there. The second one, though, the one that ended up getting released, I definitely had to pick and choose. Like it just made more sense to like play more off of what was happening like vocally than to just shred. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So at this point, like, are you still kind of into a lot of the same players that you kind of grew up with and now you're touring with and, peers with, or has your inspiration shifted at all from kind of what might be considered like your mainstream peer group to something, more underground at all?
Definitely the nostalgic stuff for me still hits harder than a lot of some of the newer stuff that's coming out. Like for whatever reason, I could put on like Ashes of the Wake or Sacrament by Lamb of God and still get like more inspiration than like a new band that has come out for some reason. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to explain. Or even like old Bodum stuff, like stuff that I like grew up that like when I was listening to that made me want to start doing this stuff to begin with. Still inspires me more than some of the new bands and shit. But every now and then there's a player that'll pop up on there and I'll just like, wow, I have to go learn some of this guy's stuff. Like obviously Guthrie's not new. He's not new by any means. He's cemented his place in guitar, but I hadn't learned any of his stuff yet when that one Petrucci camp that he taught at. So before that camp happened, I went and learned like a couple songs just because I knew they were sick and I had never really like investigated like learning any of his parts. So I went and learned like some stuff from 5s and 7s, and that was super sick. I need to do more stuff like that. Like it's just hard now for me to find something where I see like someone playing it, I'm like, I have to learn that. Like that doesn't happen as much as it should. But there's this, I don't know, you might have seen this kid pop up. I can't tell how old he is. His name's Max Ostro. Have you seen him?
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Max is insane.
Yeah, he's a beast. Like that dude's he sounds like Guthrie. Like if you were to like if you were to like blindfold me and be like, which one is Guthrie? I would be like, both. You know what I mean? Like, he sounds so much like him.
Yeah, well,
opinion.
he's got his. I mean, I haven't listened to Max enough to even maybe make that particular, association. But like just watching Max play has been through Instagram mostly. Is like where I've seen his clips and stuff, and I was like, oh, dude, and he's got this kind of. I don't know. There, him as a creature in the world is like interesting. To watch him touch the instrument. I'm like, oh, dude, and that's what's I think is really one of the like fun parts as a spectator with watching a lot of you different shredders and people that have really taken the sport to new levels in a lot of ways. Like it's to see all these different unique ways of achieving kind of high end proficiency, and like, like there's a common root. Like we were talking about the holding the pick, you teach most of your people, your students to like, about like this, don't get too obsessive about it. But then there's somebody that comes along like a Marty or a Zach, and they're like, they break the rules and you're like not even really sure why they're even able to do it. And
Zach in particular, I'm like, I don't know how you're playing clean, but I'm hearing it and it's really sick.
Yeah.
But visually, for what I know works for me, is not like I could not play guitar like that and have it sound that way.
Yeah. I think the thing that you're missing is the thumbnail. I think you're missing the thumbnail. If you were to grow your thumbnail out, like,
is that what he does?
I think he either grows it I think it's natural, or he has a Lee press on or something. He has this massive, if you go back and look at, it's Instagram, which probably show you, but I did when I was at EMG Pickups, we did a video. I had a texting with Zach, and I was like, hey man, you should come up here and, shred our faces off, like with just something instrumental. Like, you've never done an instrumental shred anything, bro. Like, he's like, you think? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I got a couple of these backing tracks, and I didn't tell him I knew who did the backing tracks, but it was Andy James. And I was like, hey, like, because Andy was popular, like, with what's it, the Jam Track Central, and he would make in the style of tracks, he's like, oh, this is like a Black Label Society track, shred over it, and so I just sent him a couple of those tracks that Andy had made. He's like, oh, I like this one, brother. I'm like, okay, cool. Come up. And we flew him and Barb up to EMG, and like he did like 2 takes of this like 6-minute song, and he said he listened to it, but he hadn't really even, he was just kind of, he's a rock star, he doesn't really need, see, opposite end of the spectrum, he just like sat down, he's like, I haven't learned anything to this. Let's go. Yeah. Let's fucking go. And he just kept shredding. Be able to
do that comfortably.
It's great. It's crazy. I mean, if you pick apart that thing, there's plenty of things. That's the thing about improv and live, right? Like, you have to dial back your expectation a little bit of yourself, of the person, right? You're like, oh, they're conjuring this right now. And so the fact that anything cool comes out of it is like, that's kind of like maybe part of the excitement around it, and for him, just being a seasoned guy, just going, I can hold it down for 5-6 minutes on this long track and just keep going, clicking the wah on and off, clicking the pickup selector, and just keep going. And there's some really cool moments in there. I feel bad for Jam Track Central, because that we did that video, and I told him ahead of time. I said, hey man, we're gonna do a thing with Zach over a Andy track. You want to transcribe it? And they're like, yeah, man, we'll transcribe it and put it out. And it's like it was just like 7, like I said, like 6 minutes of just him meandering, shredding, most of it good, but somebody, some poor soul, probably spent a week.
Figuring out the entire thing. And I
don't know how many pages. It's long though. It's long. You can go get it if you want it.
Well, that's how I learned that Guthrie song. I think it was either Jam Track or one of the other ones. I can't, one of the bigger ones. Like, there's like a couple main companies that do that stuff, and it was one of them for sure. I can't remember if it was Jam Track Central or
like Jam Play or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember. But
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna buy that Max Kid stuff and learn something. I just want something new to learn. I like doing that every now and then. Like I learned a Tim Miller solo too. I don't know if you know who he is, right?
I loved him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's incredible. He posted something and there was tabs for it that he had up. So I was like, that looks really hard and weird. I'm gonna learn it.
He's like, he's one of the guys that, like, no matter who you are, if you're a proficient player and you land on Tim, you're like, oh, hold on a second. Let me try to soak up what's going on, because it's Holdsworthian, but he does his own thing with it.
Yep.
That is, unique.
Completely.
So yeah, I love watching him play, and he's another unique. It's each approach, the way somebody holds the guitar. Like we're working on some custom stuff for him, and it's like, finding the preference and finding the right thing is like can be difficult, with different players that hold the instrument uniquely, and they certain part of your hands, like elbow tensions and stuff like that on the instrument sometimes can be difficult to navigate. But
I agree.
Great dude, great player. So what, I guess the main question would be like, what we're kind of talking about it now, but like, what have you been listening to lately? It doesn't have to be metal, it doesn't have to be guitar. If you listen to stuff outside of guitar, I'd love to hear about that too, if you're into hip hop or any type of pop stuff. But I'm just curious what you've been up to lately, and is there any other players other maybe Max is your main recommendation to check out, but is there anybody we should check out that we might not know about?
You might not know about. No, probably not. I guess he I would say him, I guess, in particular for right now, because anytime his shit pops up, like I've seen his stuff pop up before, but I guess I'll watch them all the way through. So now they're algorithming more into my feed, if that makes sense. Because the phone knows like what you're paying attention to. But I mean, obviously Mateus he's not exactly new anymore. I mean, he technically still is. He doesn't even have an album yet, or an album out, which is crazy. But
that's right. Holy shit.
He doesn't have an album out yet. He's just
he's that big.
He's just that popular now, just because he's that unique and that good.
Signature guitar before your first album, boys and girls. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Right there. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, he's been working on it. I don't know. I have no idea what the holdup is. Could be any number of things. I mean, I know my album that just came out was finished last July, not like a month ago, like a year ago.
Yeah.
And then just every business cliche that you hear about bad happened, essentially. All the stuff it's like pretty much everything, all the horror stories you hear that you're like, oh, that's never gonna happen to me, I'm good. And then it's just like, nope. Here's all of them.
So probably some label issues. Probably.
I don't want to go down there. I think it'd be a little unprofessional to out every single thing, but I'll just say it's every cliche you hear about is essentially what happened.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I mean, that's got to be difficult, especially. This is something
expensive.
Expensive too, right? 'Cause you're sitting on it. You're sitting waiting for to recoup from all the money and time you spend into it, right?
Yeah. That's one good thing labels are good for, is having a lot of money to spend and it be fine.
Right. Yeah. So then, I mean, how does that affect you? Artistically, was it nice to have a break on some level before releasing it, or was it more agonizing? Because you're like, it's some musicians get tired of the material, so to speak, because they spent so much time with it, and so by the time they're releasing it and trying to promote it, it doesn't seem like you're tired of your material. You're making really badass videos and like promoting it in a really high level.
I'm not sick of it yet.
Okay, good.
Which is, I mean, that's good. Like, if I'm not sick of it yet, that means no one else is going to be.
Yeah.
Which is, that's the one thing I like to do, like test myself with as well, is like, can I listen to this like an obnoxious amount of times and be fine? And and if I can't do that, then it's probably not good enough. Like, if I'm not getting chills, hair standing up on my arms, like from my own stuff, then it's not good enough. Like it has to do that at some point in the song. Because if it can do that for me, it's going to do it for someone else. But I am kind of jealous of people that just get to hear this album done, start to finish. That's how they hear it for the first time. Yeah. Like, I'll never know what that's like, ever. Or anyone who writes their own stuff will never experience it in that way, which is, I'm definitely a little jealous because I want to know what that's like hearing that album, like from start to finish, never hearing a note of it ever before.
Yeah, and it's not like you can't take an appropriate amount of time away from it after you've worked that hard on something to listen to it that freshly. I imagine you'd have to go into a coma and wake up for it to kind of work that way.
Yeah, that's not worth it at that point.
No, I don't think so. But I mean, if you if it had happened for one reason or another, that would be the way. Maybe. Yep. I don't know. I don't recommend it.
No, definitely not.
Wouldn't be the thing.
But as long as it stays with me like that, it's good. It's good enough to be released because I know it's going to do that for someone else, at least one person.
Yeah,
at least one.
Have you been able to write in the last year in the solo realm since it was finished? Or
no, it's been more of it's been more of just because that tour happened and then all of the like managerial and business stuff I had to do, so that occupies like a ton of headspace. So no, I haven't written anything like solo, like for my solo stuff since this album has come out. Even though it's been a year. I did a guest solo for another band. I'm not sure when that's coming. I think it might be coming out at the beginning of next year. But I recorded that on the All That Remains tour. That was super fun. It came out really sick. I just don't know if I'm allowed to say anything.
No worries.
Yeah.
But you are writing with All That Remains, it sounds like.
Yes, that's happening right now. They sent me a bunch of pre-pro stuff that they've been all working on. They've known how taxing this has been getting the album out, so they've been kind of like not like bothering me like too much with it. But now that's done, like I've had some time to let it, like sit. I've had a little bit of time off now, like mentally after everything. That was the most thing. It was just like exhausting, like mentally doing all of this stuff like on your own. So like after that whiskey show, like I literally I just put like 100 hours into one of these new video games I haven't been able to play very much. And it's just been a good break to like just get my head like somewhere else after everything for now that's all done with. But now that I've had a little bit of break, I got to get back on top of my shit, get back on the internet, start posting again, working on stuff, working on the All That Remains stuff. I want to get back on Twitch now that I have the new album out, and I can like play those songs on there now too. I don't have to like keep it secret anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's great. You have lots of content to be able to, perform for people in the live situation like that. And once you're, practiced.
Yeah, we have to like, before we didn't like have enough songs to like pick and choose. Now it's like, oh shit. Now we have to actually like, go check and look like which ones are like most popular to like, make a set list of our stuff. Now we have more than enough material.
Yeah.
In order to do that. Before it was like, fuck, we have to learn this really, really hard song because we only have like 10 songs. Some of them are much more playable than others.
Do you jam the All That Remains stuff on Twitch sometimes too?
Yeah, I have.
Nice.
Yeah, I haven't been on in like a while. It's been well over a year. Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of work. It's more work than you'd think it would be. Yeah, like streaming regularly. Like I respect the shit out of dudes like Herman and Matt Heafy who are able to maintain that schedule, because it's like it's its own job for sure.
Yeah.
And then you feel like, at least for me, like after I'd been on there for a couple hours, I'd feel like drained afterwards.
Yeah, because you're on the whole time. You're being a host, and you're
exactly
real time, back and forth with people.
Yep.
How much time do you usually spend like getting ready for a stream, like doing lighting or whatever? Do you spend a lot of time around that, or?
No, I kind of have everything just like up and set in stone in here right now. So I just have to like turn them on. Yeah, no, I don't spend like a ton of time on that. I just have like a couple LED, like a softbox on one of them up here.
Hmm.
I should get the Elgato stuff so I can just push a button.
What's that? Is that like a system?
That's a company. Yeah, they make
Oh.
like they do a lot of the streaming stuff, like the Stream Deck. If you've seen those, like
Okay.
that like little hub of buttons that you can program for stuff. But they make their own lights that can be controlled via that.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, so it's like I wouldn't have to like get down on my hands and knees and like physically plug the light back in because they're too high up. I can't like comfortably reach with all this gear and stuff I have. Like, you're like, oh, wait, turn it on. So I just physically unplug them, which is not the most efficient thing, but those Elgato ones, you could just literally program them to your Stream Deck and like change the color, and it's very intuitive
I have to
and
look into that.
streamlined. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything quite like that, but I do. A buddy of mine hooked me up and said, go get one of these little remotes and put all your stuff you want in your studio to turn on when you walk in. Just press one button, bing. So like everything lights up when I walk in, and like just turn on a couple of lights and I adjust stuff and it's time to go, So
yeah, I need something like that. I have to turn on like sometimes with my studio stuff, like this, sometimes I have to hit like 20 buttons.
Oof.
Is that
too many buttons, man?
Yeah.
Too many buttons.
Yeah, it's like power conditioner, preamp interface, Avid interface, Avid IO, monitor power amp, computer, MIDI controller, other second computer, maybe a Bricasti or my MIDI faders over here for orchestral shit, guitar pedals, maybe a third computer, the camera. Like that's literally something. I did a video of it once. It took like a whole minute. Just walk in. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't trust a master switch for like all of this kind of stuff.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
It could be work. I'm also weird about like I know everything's fine through the power conditioner, but I don't want to just like flip the power conditioner and just have everything just all of a sudden not have power, and that's why it's turned off. Not because you went and like actually turned it off. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
What is the second and the third computer for?
So one is specifically for streaming, like hosting streaming. Because it's got like I'm limited by because I have a Mac Tower, so it's only USB 2.0. This is about to get real nerdy. So the cam links, the Elgato cam links, because I'm using my Sony A7S II, which is an actual DSLR mirrorless camera.
That looks great.
Over here, and it has the Elgato cam links only work with USB 3.0. So my old Mac Tower only has 2.0 ports. So in order to get the camera into a live feed, I need a computer that that can support that. So I have an Asus desktop over here. My Mac Pro is sick. It's a beast for what it is. It's just old. It's got 128 gigs of RAM, all solid state drives, 12 core. It's just older. So it's got doesn't have any of the souped up like ports. It doesn't have Thunderbolt or anything like that. But I've got the HDX cards for Avid, the Pro Tools Ultimate. So that's how everything gets into that. And then I have a second computer for all my virtual instruments. It's over a closed network. Essentially, it's static IP address, all of that kind of stuff. But I was essentially running into issues with doing everything on one computer. Like, even as strong as it is, I'd have like 15 contact instruments open, like virtual instruments open, Sense, Omnisphere, etc. All of that. It's anything in that vein. And after about like 15 to 20, my computer would just get mad at me and be like, and just stop working.
Brutal.
So I just got sick of committing things to audio because that ruins your flow. Like if you're like in it and things are going well and you just have to stop for like 10 minutes to like print 15 different things to audio so you can keep further working on the song. That's such a vibe killer and a motivation killer, and just all of a sudden like that idea that was there might be gone by the time you're done freeing up resources to keep working on your song because of your computer. You know what I mean? So I knew about the slave machine system, that's what it's not a PC or not a very PC term, but that's literally what it's called, a slave machine, because it's just there to work. Like it just hosts tons of like computing power. So yeah, so that's just over like an Ethernet network, a closed network, no internet or anything like that in it.
I see.
And the computers just talk back and forth to each other. You send MIDI out, and then it spits audio back in to Pro Tools. You just have to route everything correctly. And yeah, I'd have someone walk me through it, initial setup. I couldn't figure it out on my own. I had to pay to have them come over and just do like an initial, just like template for me to see. And then I figured it out even better from there.
Nice. Now,
yeah.
so are you, do you still prefer predominantly to like write with 7-string, or are you using this new Majesty 8-string like a ton?
No, not a ton. There's only one song on the new album that's 8-string. And then same with the last album. There's only one song that's 8-string on there.
How do you have it tuned? Is it kind of standard, or is it tuned down a bit?
No, it's just well, the only one that's tuned down is the low string, so it's a low E.
Okay.
So everything's standard, and then just a low E, just dropped. That's it. I don't do anything too weird. I don't really do anything too weird tuning wise, other than just lower. Like everything's either just the 7 strings are all. Most of my stuff's in drop G, so just a step down with the low string dropped to be in a drop tuning, GD, GC, FAD. And other than that, that's pretty much what I stick with. All that remains stuff is actually in a standard tuning. It's all in C sharp standard. There's no drop, anything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. And so you probably, I assume there's not going to be a Jason Richardson 8-string then, or maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe
nothing as of right now, but
okay.
I would like to see that happen. That would be dope.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense to me. You know, and it's cool that everybody is okay with playing the Petrucci guitars, right? It's very cool, and it's like a phenomenon. Like you don't.
Oh yeah, it's turned into like a Les Paul type thing. You know what I mean? Because that's technically a signature guitar.
Technically, it is.
That's literally his name.
Yeah, I think maybe the Petrucci's are only second to the Les Paul.
It's turned into something that iconic, at least from. I mean, because literally, like, so many people are playing him. Like, he's one of the biggest, like, one of the highest selling, like, signature guitars out there. It's crazy to see some of those numbers. Like,
yeah. and he's now, I mean, he's got what, 4? He's got I think 4 picks. Got the.
I think so. Yeah.
Shield. He's got the NYC. He's got the Flow, and then he's got the new Trinity. And I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah.
There's a 5th
one. Maddie was showing me those.
Yeah, you met this one here?
I have one of them somewhere. Yeah, that one. I can't remember what happened to it. I have one laying around somewhere because they gave me one.
It's cool, but it's not mine. I don't know. I wish it was thicker and a little bit. I mean, you probably don't mind the size of it, but like, I just wish it was kind of like a 2.0, like the Flow was, but that's just me. But I know there's something else that's, I think they're working on a little something else that will add to his family of picks.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. It sounds like he's like, it seems like now that I know him relatively well, like he's always trying to find something to make everything work better and more efficiently somehow. Yeah, even still, which is like respectable as fuck. It's like he's still just like, all right, how can I make this even more efficient than it already is? Yeah.
And he's the poster boy for that type of shit. Like that's why he can still sell the original JP and have a Majesty also, and they don't discontinue the old one. Because some people, not everybody wants to do that, but like, because they already achieved a certain kind of perfection with the first round, right?
Like,
and then
it was 10 years before a second one came out, a second model, the JPX. That was literally the 10-year anniversary. That's why it's called the JPX. Yeah,
that makes sense. and then like the Majesty's now been out for, I don't even know how long. Do you know how long? It's been like 5?
Close to 10 years.
Has it been 10 years?
Maybe not quite that long. It's getting up there though. It's been like 8 at least. Because I remember I got my first Majesties when I was still in Chelsea Grin, and I left that band 2015.
Yeah. So 8.
And I had them for at least a year or two when I was still in Chelsea Grin. I think the Majesties dropped like either like 2013 or 14, maybe.
Okay. So we're approaching probably the 10-year mark at least.
Yep. It's at least 7 or they've been out for at least like 7 or 8, somewhere around there. There's like 30 prototypes of that guitar before it was finished.
I believe it. Yeah. I mean, it's a new shape, new everything. Everything feels like, it's like a different beast. They spend a lot of time thinking that through.
Yep. I think John told them initially he was like a stallion.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's why the top of it looks like that, kind of like a stallion like running.
So it's only okay. Okay, that's kind of interesting.
You see it now?
Yeah, I can see it in my mind. I'm like,
yeah.
It's like that's like the head, like kind of like the top horn type of thing, like racing forward.
Yep, that's kind of like what one of the initial thought processes to like get that shape.
Huh. Yeah, I thought so much. I mean, it has like kind of sports car kind of, leanings and stuff too. And especially that centerpiece.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's interesting. I mean, not that he even ever meant to do it, but the Devin Townsend Framus that came out a few years later had a similar like centerpiece.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I remember seeing a little bit of that online.
It's a cool guitar.
Yeah.
It's a really cool guitar. If they were actually available, I'd probably try to have one. But
is that you can't just buy that?
Well, it's a difficult situation. Like Framus is such a unknown quantity, and they don't have distribution in the United States, and like their top shelf stuff is like it starts at $5,000 and goes to $15,000.
Oh, it's like that. Okay.
And then so when they try to make an import like a Chinese or a Korean or something like that, they can do it and they can make it at a reasonable price, but like still not having proper distribution in the US just fouls that whole thing up. So they can sell kind of direct or through some distributors and dealers and stuff around the world. But it's a weird thing. And I mean, for a long time, Devin was kind of like, this is kind of funny because I got these super dope guitars and nobody can have them. I'm like, that sucks. He's like, no, I mean, it's okay. There's a part of me that thinks it's okay. And I'm like, but it's not. Like, yeah. I mean, it's like, but he's a weird cat anyway.
Yeah, I know. He did one of the Petrucci camps and I had to like, he didn't come with like any gear almost. I don't know. It was so, yeah.
Sounds
I don't know.
Right.
It was literally like now, like after getting to know him there, like now it doesn't surprise me, but at the time I was like, here's Devin Townsend. Like, where is your, you just have a flash drive and now you're going to use my entire setup. That's literally what ended up happening. Like he just gave me a bunch of files and then he used like my playback rig and in-ear setup and like all that stuff that I
Were you using a fractal?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And actually Matt Picone was there as well. And we were like trying to troubleshoot like his patch changes and why they weren't working correctly. And like, oh, does this block have bad MIDI information? Do we need to delete it and just remake it? Like things like that. It's just kind of funny. Like essentially me and Matt like double teamed, like doing like a last second like session for him to be able to play like his songs at that Petrucci camp. It was just kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, I understand where, when you first encounter Dev, like why it would be surprising. Cause you're like, you're the mastermind behind all these fucking ripping songs and ripping albums and da da da. And then, but he's also a little bit of an aloof genius, he's a little, he's like, but I mean, I'll figure it out. And he's strangely not afraid of like the improv elements. Like I think not that he intends to try to improv very much on his stuff, but there are certain elements that he leaves open, like, and worst case scenario, he's like got the soul of and the heart of a stand-up comedian. You just give him a guitar and a microphone, he'll make it work. Like everybody's going to walk away laughing and go, I don't even know what I just saw, but I kind of like that guy,
No, he's incredible. He's fucking hysterical too.
Yeah, that's like 9/10 of the reason why you would go to see him. And I remember before I ever knew him, like I saw Strapping play at some festival in Seattle, and I was like, I didn't think I didn't know if I was supposed to take him seriously or not, You know,
No.
and like,
You're not.
in the beginning, of course, I know that now, but
Yeah.
like, then I was like, he's kind of a dick. I don't know if I used to think he was cool, and I think he's a dick.
Yeah.
And like later, I told him that I was like, man, I saw you with strapping a couple of times, and I kind of walked away thinking you're not a cool person. He's like, oh, honestly, buddy, I wasn't that great of a person at that time. You know, I feel like I'm more of a decent human being now, but that's all part of his, like, you know, getting sober and kind of like having a kid and all this stuff, right? You know, and he's got a lot of thoughts around all that and how it all comes to be. But yeah, so you gonna have kids?
I like dogs.
That's my man.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of dog you got? A pug?
Yep. Yeah, he's sleeping right here.
Yeah, I figured from the song. I think I maybe seen some photos online.
Yeah. Well, actually, the song actually was my old pug dude. Before this guy.
Who's this?
This is Bro.
Bro. Oh, Bro.
Yeah, BR0.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
what's up, bro? Yes.
Before or was it before we got him to be Dude's friend, because Dude was getting older. He was 10. And we wanted him to just, you know, have someone to fuck with him and just like keep him young, you know, just move more, essentially. And so we had them together for 3 months before Dude passed away.
Oh.
But that song, Polyrhythmic Pug, Dude would drink water in 7-8.
No shit.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding.
Wow.
Like it was slurp, 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 drink, slurp, 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 drink, slurp, 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 drink, slurp, 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 like perfectly in time. Like that's just how he drank water. But every now and then he'd do like 2 slurps or 4 slurps, making it measures of 5-8 or 9-8 randomly. So we had a video of him drinking, and I put that's in that entire middle section of that song. There's audio of him drinking water in that pattern, and you can hear his tags clanking a little bit in there too.
I'm gonna have to go back and listen more.
Yeah,
carefully.
listen to it. You'll hear it now that you're in there. It just sounds like water, like splashing, kind of slurp, like perfectly in time in there.
What a great thing to make a song around and incorporate.
Yep. But yeah,
So-
that whole pattern in there came from him drinking.
Dude.
And then just wrote that whole middle section around that. And we wouldn't have this guy if it wasn't for Dude.
Well, rest in peace, Dude.
Yep.
You got a good song to immortalize you.
Yeah. He gave I gave him writing credits in there too.
Yeah, I got to make sure that those proceeds go to the right place, right?
Yeah. Yeah, his food.
It goes to Bro's food.
Yeah. Oh, I said the word. Did you see that?
Oh,
Yeah. It is.
He's like, yo, dude, what time is it? Am I missing something?
He's always an hour to hour and a half early, which is right now. So he's super annoying for an hour, and then he gets his stuff.
That's super funny. My dog Kimsey, she's very timely.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually just switched up and got her new food. We had this big like health scare, so she was like, this is running through her, and we got this new food called from the farmer's dog. Holy shit, like she's like a whole new dog in a week's time, like has all this energy. She's like gonna be 9 this year, but she's kind of just having some like being a little older type issues.
It's inevitable. Sucks. But
yeah. But she's like always wants, she knows that it's like another hour from now, but she's like right outside this door right now, like waiting for me to come out. Like, dude,
that's what he's like. Well, he's in his head is like, it always works eventually.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Eventually.
It's like I know if I just keep bugging them, they're gonna give it to me.
Yeah.
Even though I'm starting an hour before I always get it. It's always an hour, but I'm still gonna be annoying for an hour until I get it.
Maybe you guys have some place to go and you got to feed me early. Maybe that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been giving him food for dogs, which is another one of those like pre-made, like actual real food. It's like
nice,
like whole like turkey, a ground turkey, whole wheat macaroni, just like pasta for carbs. And then I think like broccoli, zucchini, cranberries, and like some other like fatty acids and stuff like that in there. Yeah, and he's he had weird. His butt would stink. His anal glands, like disgusting. So like we had to figure out something to get that to stop. It's like every couple days we'd be walking around, we'd just be in the apartment, and just all of a sudden, just like, ugh. And then there's just like a spot on your shorts or something like that, and I'm just like, nah, man, that's not okay. So
he's like rub up against you, type of thing, like cruise by.
No, I don't know. I mean, he just his anal glands just bad. Yeah. Like just I don't know. Gnarly. But we found these probiotics. There's a Pet Lab or Pet Lab Co. or whatever. They're just literally just like dog probiotics, and seems good. Yeah. Now I only smell it like maybe like once or twice a month, if that.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, I love dogs. I love my dog. She's the best. And this whole thing, the fact that we found this food is like it's such a blessing, because she was like shitting all over the place, just puking and stuff. Like it's just like I thought my dog was dying. Like honestly, I was like, I'll go going to the vet. I'm like, what are we gonna do with the fucking? They didn't really have answers, and finally, somebody, my mom was like, hey, like, a friend of mine had tried this food, and it's like chock full of all these B vitamins and all these. It's like a multivitamin meal. Yeah, it's crazy. So if anybody out there is having trouble with their dog, allergies and stuff, try out the farmersdog.com, or what was the one that you're using?
Just Food for Dogs.
Just Food for Dogs.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I was on the Farmer's Dog with him for a little bit, but my vet said something about it doesn't have like something like the macaroni, like an actual like grain carb source in there. Like the Farmer's, it's got like chickpeas and like other things like that. Like, everything in there is good, but she was saying something about like actual like grain carb source is something that dogs definitely need in their diet, and she was like adamant about that. And
that's interesting, because most dog foods are like grain free.
I know, it's bad. It's not good. That's not good
because of allergies, is what I've been told. And she has a bunch of allergies, so I thought, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe
it's working.
Yeah, maybe we need to add in something though. I don't. We have to. Like she lost some weight,
or something like that.
Yeah, we did have. We were adding in rice. I mean, I was cooking her food for a little while, trying to. Anyway.
Yeah, just troubleshoot essentially.
Yeah. Oh man. Adding pumpkin and fillers and like sweet potato.
Yeah, we did pumpkin trying to fix his butt. we did pumpkin for a while with his food. It didn't really work, honestly. But the probiotics have
tightened it up.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I wasn't thinking that we were gonna have a dog troubleshooting podcast here, but that's great. I like that.
I love dogs, dude. I just want more pugs eventually. Once we have some more room. I'm not potty training another dog in an apartment.
Oh, dude, that's gotta be brutal.
It was not fun, and he got Giardia at the same time.
What?
Yeah,
so it's like waterborne, right? Something like that.
Yeah, it's like he could have just like licked a rock or something outside. Like seriously, that's all it would have. It's just like a little bacteria. It just makes you shit yourself a lot.
Okay,
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that she might have had that because we go to the creek all the time, but they tested him.
No, yeah, he definitely had Giardia, and then he gave it to Dude. So they were both like for a little bit, just like freaking out diarrhea. It's like I can't like yell at him, you know?
Right.
He's really just like he's just going by the door and having diarrhea like every hour on the hour. It's like I can't yell at him and punish him for that. You know what I mean? He's like legit sick. So I just don't want. I'm scarred now, and I don't want to get another dog until we're not in an apartment anymore.
Yeah, maybe have a yard or something that you can.
Yeah. Exactly. Not easily. Going up and down the elevator to anytime he has to go outside to try and train them.
So, yeah, it's a lot.
Yep.
So what's next for you? Are you going to do a solo tour then with this album?
Hopefully. Yeah, I'd like to, as long as the right opportunity comes out there.
Yeah. Like, what would you like? What would be the perfect tour for you?
Another Dream Theater one would be sick. Anything with like animals as leaders, Polyphia, the Periphery guys, or even like the Chon dudes. I don't know the Chon guys, but
isn't that band done? I think somebody told me that Chon was over.
Really?
I don't know if that's real or not. I don't know. Maybe I'm.
Hopefully we're not starting a rumor.
I know, but like no, I'm trying to think of who it was that told me.
That would be dumb. That would be really dumb. They're killing it.
I agree.
They were like literally like drawing like 1,000 or 2 people a night headlining. Like
instrumental like
clean guitar shred.
Indie, I called them indie shred, indie guitar shred, because like they felt like an indie band, you know. They're like hipster and cool, and like, and it was like one of the few like instrumental bands I'd ever seen where like people show up in hundreds and sing guitar parts with their mouth. And
a lot of them girls too.
Yeah, dude, like that doesn't happen, bro. Like,
no, it doesn't.
You created something that's a total anomaly. Like,
yes, exactly. Like
BT
Bam was opening for them. Like
BT Bam was opening for Chan.
Yeah.
Shut the what?
Yeah, you didn't see that tour? I think it was intervals between the Buried in Me and Chan. I think.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember Chan being. I saw intervals in BT Bam, but I don't know that.
I think that was the tour. I'm pretty sure that was the tour.
Crazy talk.
But yeah, but Between the Buried and Me was direct support to Chan on the tour, and I was like, yeah, that's some pretty big dick shit right there happening.
Yeah, yeah.
So I hope they're not done.
I hope not too. Yeah, I should actually reach out tomorrow and just see what they'd be like. Yeah, I don't want to spread rumors, bro. Yeah, if this is real, then I should know. I don't. But if it's not, I'll have it redacted.
Yeah,
from the record. Well, man, thanks so much for hanging out with me. It's been a couple hours now. I appreciate it. It's good.
Yeah, these things go by fast.
Yeah, especially when we haven't talked. Like it's been a minute. But yeah, thanks again. It's awesome to hear this album. It's so good. So anybody out there that hasn't picked up the album yet, please support Jason.
Thanks, man.
It's a lot of work, and it's a year late after a lot of stress.
Oh yeah.
And so buy if you have an extra package like the double something exclusive, buy the extra thing so that he makes a couple of dollars on it. And,
it's all up there. Yeah, vinyls are still for pre-order, obviously, because vinyl is vinyl now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's
you got to do it separate.
Disclaimers on all there, but you can go pre-order them. It's all up there.
Yeah, and the tab book is out.
Yes. All that stuff is out.
Cool. Bro approves. He says, "Feed me now."
Yep. He still got like an hour, but yeah.
He says, "But I'm being really cute now.
Yeah.
Check me out. I'm so cute right this minute."
Yep. He's small. He's a very small pug. He's 15 pounds.
Buddy, he's tiny.
Yep.
Little guy.
He's just stuck at puppy size.
Well, thanks again, Jason, man. I hope you have a good rest of your day, dude. Let's be in touch. And congratulations on the album. Congratulations on this cool signature pick. I mean, this is another cool thing that you can support Jason with, is picking up these picks and, trying to let it up your game, because it's going to fuck you up a little bit. And that's good.
Yep. And we got those pick tins came out sick too.
Oh, you got pick tins as well.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. You can get those on the site.
Sick. JasonRichardson.com.
Jason Richardson merch.
Merch.com.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, that's where all that stuff is. Fun.
All right. That's it, man. Well, all right.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks again, man.
Players Pick Podcast, Picks and Perspective with Chrys Johnson.
Players Pick Podcast is brought to you in part by our good friends at Dunlop Guitar Products, Diesel Custom Guitars, and our favorite new coffee company, Road Roaster Coffee. Use coupon code PLAYERSPICK for 20% off your first order at roadroastercoffee.com.